Hey everyone, it is ZLR here. Today I'm doing my Wildcard recap, and you can probably tell I'm wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey, and it's number 12. Yeah, because I got that TB12 on. But also always gonna support my Patriots. So this is actually kind of funny. I'm repping Tom Brady's Buccaneers jersey, but have a Patriots hat on, so I'm repping practically both his times. But anyway, let's just get right into this. Um, Texans and the Chargers. The Texans won 32-12. Sorry about that. My OneDrive for some reason just went off on my computer. Um, Justin Herbert had 14 completions out of 32 attempts, 242 yards, a touchdown, and 4 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins had 9 carries for 26 yards. Gus Edwards had 7 carries for 22 yards. Hassan Haskins, shut up, computer, had 1 carry for 5 yards. And Darius Davis had 1 carry for -3 yards. Lad McConkey had 9 receptions, 197 yards, and a touchdown. Will Disley had 2 receptions for 16 yards. Uh, Tucker Fisk had 1 reception for 15 yards. DJ Chark Jr. had 1 reception for 10 yards. And Darius Davis had 1 reception for 4 yards. For the Texans side of things, we had CJ Stroud complete 22 passes out of 33 attempts, 282 yards, a touchdown, and a interception. Joe Mixon had 25 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. CJ Stroud had 6 carries for 42 yards. We had Damian Pierce with 2 carries for 15 yards, and Dare Ungumbale with 1 carry for 5 yards. Nico Collins had 7 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Xavier Hutchinson had 1 reception for 34 yards. John Mechie had 4 receptions for 28 yards, as well as Cade Stover. We had Dalton Schultz uh, get 2 receptions and 23 yards. Robert Woods had 2 receptions for 22 yards. Joe Mixon had 1 reception for 13 yards. And Deontay Johnson had 1 reception for 12 yards. Then we had the Steelers and the Ravens, with the Ravens winning this one 28-14. We have Russell Wilson complete 20 passes out of 29 attempts, 270 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Justin Fields attempted a pass. Najee Harris had 6 carries for 17 yards. Russell Wilson had 3 carries for 6 yards. And Jaylen Warren had 2 carries for 6 yards. George Pickens had 5 receptions, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Najee Harris had 3 receptions for 41 yards. Van Jefferson had 2 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown. We have Mike Williams with 1 reception for 37 yards. We had Calvin Austin with 1 reception for 25 yards. Jaylen Warren with 4 receptions, 19 yards. Pat Freiermuth, Freiermuth, I, I still probably don't pronounce that right, but I'm just going with it. 3 receptions, 15 yards. And Darnell Washington, 1 reception for 9 yards. For the Ravens side of things, we had Lamar Jackson complete 16 passes out of 21 attempts, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had 26 carries, 186 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had 15 carries for 81 yards. We also have Steven Sims with 1 carry for 15 yards. Don't think we've heard of that guy really as of yet. We also had Justice Hill, 6 carries for 12 yards, and Mark Andrews with 2 carries for 5 yards. Isaiah Likely had 3 receptions for 53 yards. Mark Andrews had 2 receptions for 27 yards. Nelson Aguilar had 1 reception for 25 yards. Rashad Bateman had 2 receptions, 24 yards, and a touchdown. We had Tylan Wallace with 1 reception for 21 yards. Justice Hill with 4 receptions, 13 yards, and a touchdown. and Anthony Miller with 3 receptions for 12 yards. Then we had the Broncos and the Bills, and my God, this game did not go well for the Broncos as the Bills won 31-7. We have Bo Nix complete 13 passes out of 22 attempts, 144 yards and a touchdown, and Riley Dixon completed a pass out of one attempt for 15 yards on a fake punt that was actually pretty cool. Bo Nix, 4 carries, 43 yards. Jamal Williams, no, not Jamal, Javonte Williams with 7 carries, 29 yards. I just saw Jay Williams and I thought it was I thought it was the other one. Tyler Beatty or no, it's Beatty. Tyler Beatty with 2 carries, 8 yards. Marvin Mims with 2 carries for 1 yard, and Jaleel McLaughlin with 2 carries for -2 yards. I'm very sorry about my little brain being all fucked up right there, but who cares? Cortland Sutton, 5 receptions, 75 yards. Troy Franklin, 2 receptions, 54 yards and a touchdown. Javonte Williams, two receptions for 14 yards. Marvin Mims with 2 receptions for 12 yards. Adam Trotman and Lucas Kroll both had 1 reception for 2 yards, and Jaleel McLaughlin had a reception but got nothing out of it. For the Bills side of things, we had Josh Allen complete 20 passes out of 26 attempts, 272 yards, and 2 touchdowns. James Cook had 23 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Allen had 8 carries for 46 yards. We had Ty Johnson with 9 carries for 44 yards. For some reason, I was going to say 44 carries for 9 yards. I don't know why I was going to say it like that. Ray Davis had 1 carry for 3 yards, and Mitchell Trubisky had 3 carries for -3 yards. I miss that guy sometimes. Just seeing him play because he barely really does now because he's a backup. But anyway, Curtis Samuel, 3 receptions, 68 yards and a touchdown. Khalil Shakir, 6 receptions out of 61 yards. Out of 61 yards. I don't know what's going on with me today. Dalton Kincaid, 3 receptions for 47 yards. Dawson Knox with 2 receptions for 38 yards. We had Ty Johnson with 2 receptions, 26 yards, and a touchdown. We had Mac Hollins with 1 reception for 19 yards. We had Amari Cooper with 2 receptions for 8 yards. And Keon Coleman with 1 reception for 5 yards. Don't know why they didn't give it to him that much. Then we had the Packers and the Eagles, with the Eagles winning this one 22-10. Jordan Love had 20 completions out of 33 attempts, 212 yards, and 3 interceptions. My God, did he have a bad game? Holy shit, I didn't even realize that. Wow. Wow, that's horrible. Josh Jacobs had 18 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Tucker Kraft had 2 carries for 10 yards, as well as Jordan Love. And Emmanuel Wilson had 3 carries for 6 yards. And now it's time for the receivers. And Jaden Reed injured. 4 receptions for 46 yards. Hope he gets okay. Josh Jacobs, 3 receptions for 40 yards. Dontavian Wicks, 2 receptions for 39 yards. Tucker Kraft, 5 receptions for 26 yards. Emmanuel Wilson, 1 reception for 23 yards. Bo Melton, 1 reception for 16 yards. Romeo Dobbs with 2 receptions for 13 yards. We have Chris Brooks with 2 receptions for 9 yards. And honestly, the Packers had so many injuries, I can't even think of all of them on the top of my head. I definitely know Jaden Reed was one of them. I know there was another receiver that got injured. I'm not too sure if it was Wicks or Dobbs or anything like that. Um, I'll have to look back at that at some point. But anyway, Jalen Hurts, 13 completions out of 21 attempts for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did not have to do much. Saquon Barkley had 25 carries for 119 yards, which is considered keeping them stable, I guess. Well, not keeping them stable, but it for what I've heard, 119 yards for Saquon Barkley is a bad day. That's all I heard, and I'm like, honestly, it's still a good day even if you have 119 yards. I mean, Saquon Barkley had a fucking beautiful season. Jalen Hurts, 6 carries for 36 yards, and Kenneth Gainwell, 3 carries for 14 yards. Um, Devonta Smith had 4 receptions, 55 yards. Dallas Goedert had 4 receptions, 47 yards, and a touchdown. Jahan Dotson had 1 reception, 11 yards, and a touchdown. That was literally right at the beginning of the game, practically. A.J. Brown, 1 reception for 10 yards. Saquon Barkley had 2 receptions for 4 yards. And Grant Calcaterra had 1 reception for 4 yards. And then we had the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay old Buccaneers. I should have went with this one. The old Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But anyway, Commanders won that one 23-20. And honestly, I had the Commanders winning last week. Lil Marco, he knows that I was wearing my Commanders jersey, the Antonio Gibson one that I have. And the video before that with the Champ Bailey Redskins jersey. Um, he knew I was supporting the Commanders for this game, and they got the win, which I like. Buccaneers, it kind of sucks that they lost literally in the first round after how they went last year. But anyway, we had Jaden Daniels complete 24 passes out of 35 attempts, 268 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also had 13 carries for 36 yards. Austin Eckler had 8 carries for 27 yards. We have Brian Robinson with 10 carries for 16 yards. Marcus Mariota, wow, another name that I kind of miss watching on the field that much because he barely is on the field now. But yeah, 1 carry for 2 yards, and Jeremy McNichols with 1 carry for 1 yard. I don't know what the hell's going on my nose right now, but it hurts on this side. Scary Terry had 7 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Diami Brown had 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. Practically the same there for both of those receivers. Austin Eckler had 3 receptions for 26 yards. Zach Ertz had 2 receptions for 23 yards. We have Brian Robinson with 4 receptions, 22 yards, and Omalad Zacchaeus, one of my favorite names to say right now, 3 receptions for 19 yards. I might even have to get a Zacchaeus friggin' jersey, dude. Baker Mayfield, 15 completions at 18 attempts, 185 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving had 17 carries for 77 yards. Baker Mayfield had 7 carries for 23 yards, and Rachaad White had 1 carry for 1 yard. Mike Evans had 7 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. We had Jalen McMillan with 2 receptions for 41 yards. We had Cade Otton with 2 receptions for 32 yards. Rachaad White, 2 receptions for 14 yards. And Bucky Irving with 2 receptions, 6 yards, and a touchdown. And for the last game, we had the Vikings and the Rams, with the Rams winning 27-9. Why was this playoff round so fucking weird? Only one game was close, and that was the one I literally just mentioned. But Rams got a very good win here. Um, Sam Darnold completed 25 passes out of 40 attempts, 245 yards, a touchdown, and a interception. Aaron Jones had 13 carries for 48 yards. Cam Akers had 5 carries for 39 yards. And Sam Darnold had 4 carries for 19 yards. TJ Hawkinson had 5 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson had 5 receptions for 58 yards. Jalen Naylor had 3 receptions for 33 yards. Jordan Addison had 3 receptions for 29 yards. Johnny Munt had 2 receptions, 28 yards. Aaron Jones had 3 receptions for 12 yards. We had Trent Sherfield with 2 receptions, 8 yards. CJ Ham with 1 reception, 8 yards. And Josh Oliver, 1 reception for 5 yards. For the Rams side of things, we had Matthew Stafford complete 19 passes out of 27 attempts, 209 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kyren Williams had 16 carries, 76 yards. We had Ronnie Rivers with 3 carries, 8 yards. Puka Nacua with 1 carry for 7 yards. And Matthew Stafford had 2 carries but got negative 1 yard because of it. We had Tyler Higbee with 5 receptions, 58 yards. Puka Nacua with 5 receptions, 44 yards. Cooper Kupp with 1 reception for 29 yards. Demarcus Robinson with 1 reception, 23 yards. Kyren Williams with 3 receptions, 16 yards, and a touchdown. We had Colby Parkinson with 2 receptions for 13 yards. Hunter Long with 1 reception for 13 yards, as well as Davis Allen, but along with the 1 reception for 13 yards, he had a touchdown. And that is going to wrap up this little recap video for the wildcard round. Tomorrow will be the divisional round playoff predictions, and that's definitely going to be fun. And also, I did mention there might be another video out today. It could possibly come out tomorrow. Don't really know. But I hope you guys enjoy it whenever it does come out. But as always, like, subscribe, comment, do really whatever you want to do. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. See you around.